अंजू शर्मा एक IAS ऑफिसर है, सीनियर IAS ऑफिसर है 1991 बैच के, एंड शी हैड फेल्ड इन क्लासेस 10th and 12th. But she went up to clear UPSC in the first attempt at the age of 22. Your marks are not a deterrent. But you know what? What can be a deterrent? The deterrent can be your attitude, your passive attitude and inconsistency. See, understand one thing, nobody is talented when it comes to answer writing in mains. We all cultivate the art of writing answers through practice. Now, this would involve consistent efforts for at least a period of 1 to 2 years. Having said that, please understand that fact that the process of examination, that which is prelims, then mains and this interview, this whole process takes 1 full year. In UPSC, it's a day-to-day effort. It is not that 1 month before the exam you're preparing and you will clear. No. You have to prepare on a year-long basis. So discipline and consistency is very important, which will differentiate an average student with a topper. Academic credentials बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी हैं अगर हमने UPSC का एग्जाम क्रैक करना है, right? But just a second. अरे ये क्या हुआ? Meet the man who secured just 60% in class 10, but he cleared UPSC with All India rank 3. I'm talking about Junaid Ahmed, who cracked the UPSC exam in 2018. अंजू शर्मा एक IAS ऑफिसर है, सीनियर IAS ऑफिसर है 1991 बैच के, एंड शी हैड फेल्ड इन क्लासेस 10th and 12th. But she went up to clear UPSC in the first attempt at the age of 22 back in 1991. Even more, हिमांशु कौशिक 2017 का UPSC पेपर उन्होंने क्लियर किया था. 2017 में जो UPSC पेपर हुआ था उसमें उनका रैंक 77 था अपने फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में. And he was a very, very average student. He had supplies reappears in his BTech twice. Moving on, छत्तीसगढ़ कैडर के 2009 बैच के IAS ऑफिसर अवनीश शरण, even he barely passed high school in 3rd division. He failed 10 times in state public service commission examinations, but he went on to become an IAS officer 2009 बैच. मैंने आपके साथ ऐसे 4 ऑफिसर्स की बात करी, सीनियर, बहुत सीनियर, कुछ अभी जो हाल फिलहाल में बने थे, और इन चारों का एकेडमिक रिकॉर्ड तो कोई बहुत अच्छा नहीं था, काफी एवरेज बैकग्राउंड से थे. सो विच सर्टनली मीन्स कि इनका जो एवरेज बैकग्राउंड था या इनके जो बहुत कम मार्क्स थे, चाहे वो 10th में, 12th में या ग्रेजुएशन में, वो एक ऑब्स्टिकल नहीं था एज फार एज UPSC एग्जामिनेशन इज कंसर्न. सो विच ऑल्सो ब्रिंग्स मी टू द पॉइंट दैट अगर आपको लगता है कि आप जब तक यूनिवर्सिटी के टॉपर नहीं रहे या जब तक आपने अपने सीनियर सेकेंडरी स्कूल में या 12th क्लास में 95% नहीं लिए तब तक आप UPSC के एग्जाम नहीं दे सकते हैं, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. वेलकम टू द वीडियो. माय नेम इज कुबेर एंड वेलकम टू द प्लेटफॉर्म ऑफ स्लीपी क्लासेस. मैं आपको एक और बात, आगे बढ़ने से पहले एक और बात बताना चाहता हूं. अगर मैं मिनिमम एजुकेशनल क्वालिफिकेशन की बात करूं, क्या कुछ ऐसा है कि UPSC का एग्जाम देने से पहले या उसकी एलिजिबिलिटी के लिए मेरे पास 70% हो, 80% हो, 90% हो? नहीं. UPSC क्या मांग रहा है? UPSC सिर्फ ये कह रहा है कि आप मिनिमम 21 साल के हो, मैक्सिमम 32 साल के हो और आपके पास एक ग्रेजुएशन की डिग्री होनी चाहिए बाय एनी वन ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटीज इनकॉर्पोरेटेड बाय द एक्ट of the central or the state legislature in India or other education institution जो कि establish करे गए हैं by the act of parliament or declared to be a deemed university under section 3 of the UGC Act 1956. So which means UPSC is only expecting any aspirant जो कि एग्जाम देना चाहता है to be a graduate, which means no pressure of being the topper of the university, no pressure of scoring 100 out of 100 in physics, no pressure of scoring 99 out of 100 in mathematics, or no pressure in being the topper or the gold medalist in political science, in philosophy, or in sociology. So which means your marks are not a deterrent. But you know what? What can be a deterrent? The deterrent can be your attitude, your passive attitude and inconsistency. I'll talk more on that. But before I proceed, I also want to let you know that अगर आप एक ऐसे एस्पिरेंट हैं जो कि सेल्फ स्टडी कर रहे हैं और आप एक सेल्फ स्टडी प्लानर चाहते हैं, तो हमने बहुत ही डिटेल में एक सेल्फ स्टडी प्लानर बनाया है. इसको डाउनलोड कीजिए. कहां से जाके? वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन में जाएं, वहां पे आपको इसका लिंक भी मिल जाएगा. आगे बढ़ते हैं. नाउ मैं आपके साथ कुछ बात करना चाहता हूं एज फार एज मिथ एंड रियलिटी इज कंसर्न. मैं एक डायकोटमी यहां पे डिस्कस करना चाहता हूं. मिथ है ओनली टॉपर्स कैन क्लियर UPSC. ये एक मिथ है, जबकि रियलिटी क्या है? कितने सारे एवरेज स्टूडेंट्स, 4 तो एग्जांपल्स आपको मैंने वीडियो की शुरुआत में बताए, लेकिन कितने साल, हर साल कितने एवरेज स्टूडेंट्स दे एंड अप क्लियरिंग यूपीएससी एवरी ईयर. I can tell you for a matter of fact that most of the people serving in the foreign services, they, after graduating from college, they never knew that on the map of the world, on the global map, Germany kahan pe hai, Japan kahan pe hai. It is only once you engage yourself very earnestly and dedicatedly for this examination preparation that you end up acquiring a lot of knowledge. And well, if you're able to do that consistently, if you're able to do what you have to do consistently, you will definitely see results. Now there's another myth, मेरी English बहुत कमजोर है and I will end up failing this exam. Well, sir, English is a global language. We understand that. English is a language for communication. UPSC is not saying that only people who have studied from Harvard or Cambridge or those people who have had a distinction in the English language कि वो ही व्यक्ति आके UPSC का पेपर दे सकते हैं. नहीं, आप इस पेपर को हिंदी की भाषा में या अपनी रीजनल भाषा में, जो भी लैंग्वेजेस शेड्यूल्ड लैंग्वेजेस में आती हैं अंडर द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, आप उस भाषा में ये पेपर दे सकते हैं. सो लैंग्वेज इज नो बैरियर. देन अनदर मिथ, आई डोंट हैव अ स्ट्रॉन्ग डिग्री, आई एम नॉट फ्रॉम IIT, आई एम नॉट फ्रॉम IIM, आई एम नॉट फ्रॉम अ IB कॉलेज. व्हाट डू आई डू? आई need to build up my CV before appearing for UPSC? No, not at all. UPSC is not asking you about your college CGPA. As I mentioned, UPSC is only expecting you to be a graduate. That is the minimum requirement, that minimum age is 21 and you're a graduate. That is it. So no percentage is being mentioned on the advertisement of UPSC. And then another myth, I failed in college once. I had a reappear exam. I failed in college once. So what? We have many toppers who have failed in colleges, who have actually completed their graduation in 6 years or 7 years, who have failed so many exams, and even now they are serving IAS and IPS officers. So understand one thing, I'm not saying that you become complacent under the the notion that okay, I was an average student, तो क्या होता है, तो I can be more average right now and I can end up cracking my exam. Understand one thing, it's not about you being average and now again being average. You have another opportunity, you have another chance to prepare and also pull up your socks and also prepare in a very dedicated manner, in a very strategic manner, so that you can achieve results. Because one thing which you need to understand, यहाँ पे आपके मार्क्स, मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि आपका रैंक 1 आया तो आपके 100 में से 100 आए हैं, राइट? ऐसा नहीं है कि आपका रैंक 10 आया तो आपके 100 में से 90 आए हैं. आप एक कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशन में जहां पे आपको कट ऑफ क्लियर करनी है डिफरेंट स्टेजेस पे, और आपको पता है कि इस एग्जाम के 2 बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट स्टेजेस हैं, प्रीलिम्स एंड मेंस, एंड ऑफ कोर्स तीसरा स्टेज इंटरव्यू का है जो आता है, वो अगेन वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. लेकिन आपको एक कट ऑफ कैटेगरी, एक थ्रेशोल्ड कैटेगरी से, या तो वो थ्रेशोल्ड कैटेगरी जितने मार्क्स आ रहे हैं उससे ऊपर के मार्क्स आ रहे हैं, इसी करके आप अपनी लिस्ट में आ पाएंगे. अगर आप वो थ्रेशोल्ड से नीचे हैं तो नहीं आ पाएंगे. नाउ अगर आप एक ऐसे कैंडिडेट हैं जिसने IIT या IIM से अपनी पढ़ाई करी थी, लेकिन आप वो थ्रेशोल्ड कट ऑफ नहीं अचीव कर पाए हैं, तो भी आप क्या कर लेंगे? तो भी आप UPSC तो क्वालिफाई नहीं कर पाए, तो भी आप फेल ही हो गए UPSC में. सो अंडरस्टैंड वन थिंग, कोई पेनल्टी नहीं है UPSC में कि आप पहले फेल हुए थे या अभी फेल हो रहे हो. देखो, अभी फेल हो रहे हो तो आपके बस अटेम्प्ट्स एग्जॉस्ट हो रहे हैं, दैट इज वन थिंग. लेकिन आपने पहले 10th क्लास में फेल हुए थे, या आप 12th क्लास में मैथ्स में फेल हुए थे, या आपके इंग्लिश में कम मार्क्स आए थे, कोई पेनल्टी UPSC नहीं दे रहा है यहाँ पे. Now, what is UPSC looking out for? Number one, UPSC is looking out for people who have analytical ability, who have critical thinking, who have rational thinking ability. UPSC is not encouraging people जो कि रट्टा मार के आ रहे हैं. Having said that, of course, there is an element of rote learning which is required to an extent as far as the answer writing part is concerned in the mains part. But understand one thing, it is your conceptual clarity which will help you more in prelims as well as in mains as well as in the interview. So therefore, it is the ability which you're demonstrating in your answers, that you're able to connect the events what are happening in your current affairs with whatever static knowledge you have read for your general studies. And also, it is also the art of having a structured expression. See, understand one thing, nobody is talented when it comes to answer writing in mains. We all cultivate the art of writing answers through practice. Now, this would involve consistent efforts for at least a period of 1 to 2 years. Having said that, please understand that fact that the process of examination, that which is prelims, then mains, and this interview, this whole process takes 1 full year. So if you're fortunate enough to clear prelims, then you will sit for mains. And if you're fortunate enough to clear mains, then you will sit for the interview. And of course, the whole result gets compiled after 1 year from the date of prelims, almost after 11 months of the date of prelims. So prelims are held anywhere in May or June every year, and anywhere in April or May of the subsequent year, you will get the final result. So the whole process of this examination itself is 1 year. And prior to 1 year, you will of course study and prepare for this exam, which will also take another 1 year. So which means that 1.5 to 2 years of your time would be required, would be invested for one attempt of UPSC. Now that is one thing which you have to be prepared for. Now, what is it which you need the most? Apart from the books and the theories and of course the mentors, you need a mindset shift. Now, what is the mindset which you might be having right now? I am not smart enough. Why? Because my academics were very poor. Well, you know what? You can still learn with the right method. The good news is that you can still learn with the right method. You still have an opportunity to make big in life. Even if you believe that you were very, very average, doesn't matter. That will not be a deterrence. Then the other thought which you have in your mind that, toppers will always have an edge. Understand one thing. Toppers might have an edge because they know how to do things, how to execute things in a certain way. If you sit with a topper who has topped his school examination, university examination, well, they do have an edge in the fact that yes, they have been very competitive right throughout, and they have certain hacks and certain strategies whereby they can achieve the results and they can execute certain tasks in a certain manner. However, that doesn't mean that you lack those tasks or you lack those strategies or you would end up lacking that methodology. Understand one thing, even if any topper of university or college, even if they don't have any discipline, even if they don't have any consistency, they will not top the exam. So unlike in the college or in the universities, whereby most of the people, they used to prepare for the examination by ratifying some sample papers before, a couple of days before the, final exam, it is not something which will help over here. Because understand one thing, in UPSC, it's a day-to-day effort. It is not that 1 month before the exam you're preparing and you will clear. No. You have to prepare on a year-long basis. So discipline and consistency is very important, which will differentiate an average student with a topper. Most of the time, the toppers, they say that we are very talented, we are very skilled, we can do everything because we've been a topper all throughout. But you know what? The toppers can also get a reality check by failing this exam if they're not consistent. Then the thought which comes to your mind is that I don't understand big books. Well, understand one thing. If there is a book in front of you which is worth 1,000 pages, there is a way to approach that book. You don't have to read the 1,000 pages. You have to read very smartly. Now, reading very smartly doesn't mean that you end up just reading some digitized notes or just, reading some topper's copy. That is one part which you can do. But if it requires you to read a certain book, अगर आपको वो required है कि आपने वो कोई certain book पढ़नी है, that could be some NCERT, that could be some standard reference book, you would need to do that. There is no denial in that. But also, you need to start from the basics. And understand one thing, when you know that this is a journey which is very long, as in it will take 1.5 to 2 years, this whole one cycle of one attempt. So therefore, it's not that you have to read one big book overnight. There are ways and there are directions, and of course there are good mentors who will teach you how to really approach reading a book, how to really approach reading content, what not to do, because first we need to do what not, कि हमने क्या नहीं पढ़ना. हमने क्या नहीं पढ़ना वो पता है, तो क्या पढ़ना है वो हमको टीचर डेफिनेटली बताएगा. क्या पढ़ना है और क्या नहीं पढ़ना, दोनों चीजें हमको हमारे मेंटर जरूर बताते हैं. और अगर आप फेलियर से डरते हैं, then please understand one thing, that you see, this is a very, very dangerous thought, and anybody and anyone who has not failed in life has not made big in life. There are countless examples which even you know deep inside and which even I know. There's so many examples. So therefore, understand one thing, every topper you see in the newspaper or on the YouTube channels or in the advertisements or wherever, or on social media, they have failed something. There are so many examples whereby people have failed 5 prelims and they ended up cracking their exam in the last attempt, prelims, mains and interview, and ended up being an IAS officer, getting a top rank. So therefore, this very thought can be very, very dangerous. So please understand one thing, you need a mindset change. Now, how to start things? Of course, you have to start with the NCERTs for your foundation. Of course, you have to keep the syllabus in front of you every time. Keep a downloaded copy of the syllabus, the soft copy on your smartphone, on whatever device you're preparing or studying, and also keep a hard copy with you. Because you need to understand that your syllabus will be the guru. Your syllabus would be your guide map. All right. And of course, you have to build in your foundation. As far as the NCERTs is concerned, many students, they end up asking, do we have to read the NCERTs before you actually take the plunge to prepare for UPSC? Well, you have to. You have to study the NCERTs for building up your basic foundation. And of course, there are standard books per subject. For example, you have Lakshmikant for polity. You have Nitin Singhania or The Indian Economy by Sanjeev Verma for economy. Then you have, Spectrum, modern history. And then you have NCERTs for ancient and medieval, if you have to study basic, stuff about history. Then you have geography. You have geography mein NCERT hai, GC Leong hai. GC Leong is very good for climatology as well. Then for environment, you have Shankar IAS. For current affairs, well, I suggest any monthly magazine. Let me also tell you, by watching YouTube videos or by just, downloading a magazine and reading it blindly, you will not actually attain an edge in current affairs. So please understand one thing, you need to read newspapers on a daily basis, at least 4 to 5 times a week. You need to read the newspapers because you need to be familiar with whatever is happening in the news. Only then reading that monthly magazine would be of any benefit to you. Now, you need to build a study routine. When I talk about consistency and discipline, you need to build a study routine which you can follow. Now, even if you end up taking around 5 to 6 hours every day on a daily basis for the next 1.5 years, 2 years, that is more than enough. And understand one thing, you need to have a very realistic plan. You can't make a plan that, okay, today I'll study for 25 hours and then the next day I will take rest. Please, it's not possible for anyone to study for 25 hours or 24 hours or even for anything beyond than 10 hours. Of course, there will be stages in your preparation that before the exam, immediately 1 month before the exam, your efforts would be more intense. But to say that for the next 2 years, I will only study for 20 hours a day, that's not possible. You would be more productive if you end up making a realistic plan, a realistic timetable. However, there are mentors which will help you to make realistic plans as well. But understand one thing, by blindly copying the toppers that, the toppers used to study for 20 hours or 15 hours, it will not really help you. What worked for them might not work for you, will not work for you. Understand that thing. And of course, practice answer writing from month 3 onwards. So you can start with 1 question per day. Learn from the feedback. It's very important not to just write answers, but also get a feedback from the mentors. Of course, there is peer-to-peer evaluation as well, but please get a feedback from the mentor. You would understand that where you're lacking. Where are you lacking in terms of content? Are you lacking in terms of vocabulary? Are you lacking in terms of structure? Are you lacking in terms of technique? So for that, feedback is very important. And similarly, join test series as well. So you can join any prelims test series by the end of the 6th month of your preparation. So let's say that you've started your preparation, in June of any year, and perhaps by December, you are good enough to join a prelims test series, because ideally the prelims exams happen on May or June, except, if there are elections or something like that. So therefore, the prelims test series, you need to invest at least 6 months in your foundation before you end up investing in a prelims test series. And there are so many prelims test series which are available. And also, if you want to join a dedicated mains answer writing program, join that after at least 9 to 10 months of solid study in your foundation. Or at least, if you're not taking any coaching, at least make sure that for 9 to 10 months, you have done your own self-study, you have finished the syllabus, you have covered the syllabus, also you have gone through the PYQs, and then engage yourself actively in a mains answer writing program. And how to work on your personality? Well, please read daily editorials. Please read editorials. They will help you to formulate an opinion, because there are issues, there are so many things happening in and around the world, the economy, the society, and politics, on which you need to have a very educated opinion. And how do you get that? By reading editorials. You will also end up improving your vocabulary. You will also end up improving your speaking skills. I can tell you, from my personal example, that reading editorials and newspapers really helped me to build up vocabulary, and also, the speaking skills as well. And also by watching good podcasts, watching good TV debates, good news debates, that will also help you to get a very wider perspective about the issues in front of us. Now, what do you need? Before I let you go, I need to let you know that there are 3 things which you need the most. Number 1 is consistency. Always remember, being consistent would be more rewarding than being intelligent. All right. Now, everybody is born with a certain IQ and EQ. However, it is not that whatever IQ or EQ you have, you cannot raise it. You can definitely raise it. But understand one thing, slow and steady wins the race, as we know. The race between the tortoise and the race between the turtle and the rabbit. So understand one thing, it is the consistent efforts which will help you to achieve the outcome. If you have intelligence, If you have brilliant intelligence, that would be of no use if you're not consistent and if you're not disciplined. Self-belief is very important. You need to cultivate a mindset whereby you have conviction. And when I say conviction, absolute deep conviction in yourself. Of course, you need to have that conditioning in your mind that look, it might be that पहले मेरे इतने अच्छे मार्क्स नहीं आए थे, पहले मैं फेल भी हुआ था, मेरे को अच्छा रिकॉर्ड मेरा यूनिवर्सिटी में नहीं था, but I have full faith and confidence in my abilities and I will definitely achieve what I'm working hard for. And then last but not the least, you need right guidance. Right guidance is very, very important and much, much more important than any degree which you might have held in the past. So if you have the right guidance with you, if you have the right mentorship with you, if somebody has told you that, look, this is all what you have to do, this is all what you don't have to do, if you are blessed to be under the right mentor, you will definitely achieve the results. And I'm telling you with full conviction. So this is all for today, and I'll see you very soon once again. Thank you.